So hi everybody, I'm Lenore Gale. I'm a visual artist, Carleton alumna, and I'm also a current Carleton staff member. Today's painting segment is a part of Carleton's Quarantainment series, which is a weekly series where Carleton alumni, like myself, host live segments on this account in order to share their talents, teach you some new things, and just have some fun. So Quarantainment events are happening every Friday, so be sure to check them out. So I'll kind of bring you guys through how to do this painting today. So I just thought this would be kind of like a fun spring painting that we could do with lots of color. So the first thing I'll do is kind of bring you guys through what supplies we're going to need. We did post a list of supplies, but it's okay if you don't have the exact supplies, because making art and being creative is all about making things work for yourself. So the first thing you're going to need is paint. So you're going to need 4 different colors, a blue, a yellow, a red, and a white. You might not have the exact blue, yellow, red, and white that I have, but that's okay. It may look a little bit different, but every painting's going to turn out different anyways, so that's pretty fun. And you're going to need a palette, or I always use a paper plate, and I tend to reuse them. So here's my palette, and I've already just put out my red, white, yellow, and blue. So if you want to do that while I'm kind of going through the supplies. You'll also need 2 paintbrushes, hopefully, or more if you want. I'm using a big one and a little one, so the big one is going to help us cover a large area pretty quickly, and the little one's going to be good for details. A paper towel to clean off our brush, and a cup with water. I like to reuse like yogurt containers and stuff, just makes it a bit easier. And then, of course, the canvas. So if you have a canvas, that's great. You could paint on anything really if you wanted to. But we'll be painting on a canvas today. So before I get started, I just we have lots of people here today. If you could say hi and let me know where you're joining from, so I can kind of say hello along the way. And as we're going through the painting, if you have any questions, feel free to just make a comment, ask me, and I'm happy to answer any questions as well. So, and I should note that I might be going a little fast, because I'm used to having people in the room with me and kind of seeing where people are, and I do want to I don't want to take up too much of people's time. So if I'm going a little fast, just keep on your own pace and just pay attention to what I'm doing, and you can work at your own pace. So we have someone from Guelph. Hello. Hi. Great. So first thing we're going to do is easiest thing to show you. The first thing we're going to do is the background. So we're going to start, if you see, this is someone from Waterloo. If you see in the background, we're going to start with a darker kind of turquoise out here on the back, and then we're going to move into a light. So that's what we're going to focus on first. So to mix your colors, someone from athletics, hello. Oh, I should mention I work at the Sprott School of Business, so that's where I work at Carleton now. So I'm going to mix some blue. So we're going to mix a nice bit of paint just because we want to try and cover lots of the canvas. So I've got some blue here, some yellow. You're going to want lots of yellow because the blue does take over a bit. And as you can tell, I just muddy up everything. That's fine. Doesn't have to be perfect. And some white. And then we're going to mix that together. And like I said, your colors might not look exactly like mine. You can feel free to be as creative as you want, and change it up and kind of do how you want your painting to look. So you could use different colors. You could do anything you want. So I've made this kind of turquoise color. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a little bit with my big brush. I'm going to take a little bit of water on my brush and bring the water in because we're going to try and cover lots of surface really quickly, because this is just the background. Take some water in to kind of loosen up the paint a little bit. And then I'm going to go in on 2 sides. So we're going to start. Also, I've been doing this for a while. I often teach painting workshops like this around campus. So I've gotten pretty good at painting upside down, so it's definitely a bit of an acquired skill. So I'm going to start on the two sides, bring it in a little bit. So while we're doing that, maybe I'll talk a bit about myself. I graduated from the MBA program at Carleton, but my undergrad was actually in visual arts. So I did that at Memorial University. So that's how I have a painting background as well. So it's great. I volunteer a lot in the arts community, and I kind of have the opportunity to use some of those business skills that I learned in the arts community and kind of help the arts in Ottawa. And then at Carleton, like I often, give workshops like this on painting, so it's been a good opportunity for me to use both sets of skills. Out of curiosity, anyone watching, have you guys been more creative? Have you been doing more like painting, drawing, knitting, puzzles? I know lots of people have been doing puzzles. Making music, picking up any new hobbies, cooking more. I've been cooking a lot, which is fun. I know it might be hard to paint and type at the same time, too. So I'm just kind of going on the two outer sides. And then what I'm going to do, I still have some of that blue paint. I'm going to take, I'll show you what I'm doing. So see that? I'm going to take some of the white, scoop it up, and mix it into that blue and lighten it up a bit. And if you need to mix more blue, that's fine too. We're just looking for something that's a little bit lighter. Oh, trying to learn to play the keyboard, that's fun. And knitting, making a blanket. That's fun, but it's getting hot for blankets, unfortunately, although they take a nice long time. Cooking and reading a ton. Oh, that's a good point. I've been trying to read more too. I got something a bit lighter. I have a bad habit of like reading half of books, so I've been trying to force myself to finish them. So I'm going to take it in, and because my other blue is still wet, so I'm going to make a line here first, and then I'm just going to kind of go up and down into the other blue, and we're just trying to blend it a little bit. And it doesn't matter if it's not perfect, because we're going to be painting over some of this, but it's just to generally give it a look of kind of like blending from one color into the other. Yeah, so I think I've been actually, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I've been actually doing a drawing every single day, so since the start of shutdown, since the first day I worked from home, essentially. And I've actually done 70, yesterday was drawing 73, so I've stuck with it. Some days I didn't want to do it, but it's been a really good, like, way for me to kind of, like, step out of everything that's happening and kind of do something creative and focus on something. And, no matter how many years you've been making art, you can always get better. So I'm finding like different styles that interest me, and I'm kind of like really honing my skills, and I post them on my Instagram, so then I get to share them and kind of feel that community feeling with some of my like friends and family too. So I think it's a good way to step back, unwind, and then keep connected with other people. So now we've got it kind of blended a little bit, and then I'm just going to put that same color, take a bit more white, and I'm being a bit liberal with the paint. If you're finding it kind of hard to blend and get moving and stuff like that, you can put, like I said, a bit more water into it, and it moves a bit better too. So we're going to go in the middle, and that's going to be our lightest part. So it's going to be like walking into the forest, and there's our light source. Of course, along with being more creative during quarantine, I've also been going outside more and connecting with nature, which is, painting a nice nature painting kind of reminds me of that. Been going on a lot of walks along, I'm not far from the Ottawa River, so have you guys been getting out and kind of seeing more nature? It kind of makes you realize like what like a beautiful city we have and how we have like all this beautiful scenery in our backyard that we often don't experience just because, you know, now's the time because there's not much else to do. So there we go. So that's a bit wet, so I'm gonna like let it dry a bit and give a chance for people to kind of catch up. So if you want it to dry faster, sometimes I do this. I also have a fan going next to me because it's a little warm, so put it in front of the fan. So if anyone has any questions so far, let me know. Morning coffee on the porch. Yeah, that's very true. I was going out in the morning a lot, and now there's a little wasp nest out there, so I've been trying to deal with that so I can get out again. They've been pretty bad this year, but it's definitely one of the bonuses of working from home, is being able to kind of take your lunch outside and do some of that. Yeah. So while we're waiting for this to dry, I guess I can talk a little bit more about my experience at Carleton. So I did the MBA program back in, I love Carleton too. I went to school and now work at Carleton, so I'm a true Carleton lover. Your blue color done for now that you made it clear with white. We're going to be using more blue for the trees, but that's it for the background. So we will go in more with the trees. I'm just letting it dry a little bit. Yeah, so I did my MBA in International Business. I think that was back like 2013, 2014. I really loved the experience. I really liked being at Carleton. I just had like such a good sense from like all like the faculty and staff and students. It was like such a nice community feeling. So when I had the opportunity to apply for a job at Carleton, I jumped on it. And I worked at Sprott actually at the time, and then I worked in the Department of Neuroscience, and then I worked in the co-op office, and now I'm back at Sprott again. So it's been floating around for 5 years, but it's been a good experience. So I think I'm getting kind of dry. It's not perfectly dry, which is okay, but just don't want it like sopping wet. So what I'm gonna do, I'll show you on the other painting. So the next layer we're gonna do is these trees. So if you can see, there's trees, and they're darker, and then they move into being lighter. So we're gonna do that first because then we're gonna put the bridge on top, and then the bridge is going to go over it, so you don't want to have to try and paint the trees behind the bridge. So we're going to do that first. So we're going to take, if you have blue left, you can use the blue that's there, add a bit more blue and white to it to make it darker again, or you can mix up a new one. And so yeah, the way, this is a good thing to know in painting. When you're painting, things that are closer appear darker and things that are further away appear lighter because the atmosphere blocks out some of the light particles that come through, something like that. So say if you look at mountains in the distance, you know, they're kind of hazy and white looking. That's just how it naturally looks. So when you're painting something like this, you want the things that are closer to be darker and then the things that are further away to be lighter. And that gives you a sense of depth. And along with that, we're also going to start with thicker trunks. And then as they get further away, obviously they look smaller. So that's kind of how we're going to go about that. So we're going to start outside, do these thicker trunks, and then come in. And remember, you don't have to make yours exactly like mine. It's your world, your trees. You can have branches sticking out wherever you want. You can have them as thick or as thin or anything you want. That's kind of the fun part of painting and being creative, is doing your own thing. I've still got some of my first blue here. I'm actually going to bring in more blue and more yellow to make it darker because it's a bit light. We want this color to be darker than the furthest color outside. That's kind of the trick. And for anyone who bought paints, if you want to like get creative on your own after and get some more canvases, you can. There's also lots of tutorials on like YouTube or that you can follow along with people. Just bringing in some, mixing this new color. And the thing about doing a drawing every day that I've been doing is I find, like, I don't love every drawing. I don't even like every drawing. Sometimes I draw something and I don't love it, but I post it anyways because it's kind of all part of the journey and learning what works and what doesn't. And the more that you do, oh, thank you. Someone said I love this painting. So it's all part of the journey and the learning experience. Okay, mine's tacky but pretty dry. So we're going to start on the outside. Has anyone here gone to like a paint night before, or like, you know, kind of like a painting workshop where you kind of follow along, kind of similar to this? Or is this your first time? How much darker yellow did you add? How much yellow did you add to make the blue darker? Mine's just going green. So if it's going green, you can just add more blue. If it's greener than you want it to be. And just don't add any more white if you want it to be darker. So you can add yellow and blue. So I'm just making, as I said, they don't have to be perfect. Maybe some little branches. And we're going to go over a lot of what's on the top with like petals and stuff. So make some branches. They don't have to be perfect. So I'm going to do just one on the outside. And of course, like, whenever I do these, the painting I make never looks like the painting I started with. So these will look different, and everyone's will look different. And that's kind of the fun part, is that you get to see how everyone's different creativity and like how they mix their paint and use their brush strokes all create different paintings. But they're all like masterpieces in their own way. So I love taking a picture at the end of everybody. So I hope you all share your paintings online after so we can see them. I'm used to being able to see what everyone's doing at the same time. So this is a bit different for me, but I hope to see them after, because that's such a fun part for me. Okay, so I did a couple on that side, one on that side. Oh, thank you, Miss Mary P. Mac. Thanks. Alright, so I've done a couple dark ones on each side. I'm going to turn my fan up, it's getting hot in here. There we go. So a couple dark ones on each side. Painting upside down thing. And so now that I've done a couple dark ones on each side, I'm going to put a bit of white into that blue paint and lighten it up, because you want the tree branches to get lighter as you're going in, along with the background. I had some lighter color here, so I'm just going to mix them together. It doesn't have to be a ton lighter, just a bit lighter. There we are. Alright, we'll go in with some, we'll get a bit smaller now. And you don't have to go all the way down because we will put a bridge there, but I'm just for simplicity's sake going most of the way down. And making them a bit smaller. Yeah, I'm also, like I mentioned, I volunteer a lot in the arts community. Can you save this live? Yeah, I think we will be saving it. In the arts community, and one of the things one of the groups I volunteer for does a lot of like community-based arts work, or like they support a lot of community-based arts work. So I do think like being an artist and working in the arts, and making art and sharing it with people and making art with people is just a really good way to stay connected to your community. And now's the time it's hard to be connected to your community because we're so isolated. But with things like art, I'm gonna make a lighter color. So I'm just gonna bring in more white and lighten it up for the last few kind of like tree trunks. Forgot the word. Yeah, as I was saying, it's a nice way to stay connected with the community. And the first thing that we saw, when everyone started working from home, was all these artists who started putting out work for free, or, just trying to share their work with people as a way to stay connected. So I think it's important to remember that it's a hard time for artists to support themselves. So if there's an artist that you love, whether that be visual, painting, music, performing, try to support them in some way, even if that just means like sharing their work on social media, or telling them how much you admire their work, telling other people. Those things are all a great way to support artists. I think it's really important. And the arts certainly have enriched my life, so I think it's important to remember. Alright, so I'm not going to put branches right in the middle because that's kind of where you see it go off into the forest, but as you can see here, this is kind of what we're going for. Alright. And a bit of a gap here. I might put one more branch there. So that's the other thing, or trunk. That's the other thing. Sometimes you kind of want to go back and fix things up. Just because it's done doesn't mean that's it, so I'm just going to mix up a little bit of dark color. Hopefully it'll look similar. It's storming out now, is it? Are you in Ottawa? It's not storming exactly where I am, but I think it will be soon. It's been very humid, so I would welcome a little bit of storm to kind of cool things down a little bit. And yeah, it's great. Painting's a great thing to do during the weather isn't as nice. I should mention when I bought this paint, sorry, I'm trying to put another, having trouble getting it dark enough. When I bought this canvas for this today, I don't know if any of you guys took advantage of Wallack's discount code, which was very generous of them, but I also bought myself a little watercolor set that it's like a travel set, so you can kind of just go sit in a park and paint or something like that, and a little travel journal. So I'm excited to use that. So I hope it'll be a bit nicer this weekend, and not too rainy. So I'll give that a second to dry. And then so what we'll do next is we'll put on the bridge. I'll show you. We'll put on the bridge. And then while the bridge is drying, we'll start up here in the leaves. And then when we're done up top, we'll come down and do the leaves down here. And like I said, if you want to make yours more orange or more like pinky, or if you have another color you want to make all together, like don't be shy to kind of like be creative. Just let that dry. So what I do now at Carleton, I work at the Sprott School of Business as a business career coordinator. So my current role, I advise students on careers. I help them with like resumes and cover letters, interviews, all those sorts of things. And I work with employers too to help them hire students into their jobs. So I just started there in January, but I really like it. It's a good team. So I've been enjoying that a lot. And it's kind of nice, like as someone who was a former student at Carleton, like I know how important it is to have career support, especially now. And I think like, having that is really helps our students kind of get ahead, because it can be tough, certainly, during certain times to make yourself stand out, so. Alright. Just letting that dry a little bit. While we let that dry, I'm going to mix up some of the pinky color. No, I'm not going to do that. Sorry, we're going to do the bridge first. I'm going to mix up a darker color again. The blue is taking over my palette. That happens sometimes. So, and I put out a lot of paint because I didn't want to have to keep grabbing it while we were doing this, but don't be shy to squirt out more paint if you need it. So I'm going to take some blue, mix it in. I'm going to try and make this dark, relatively dark. I'm not going to put much white in it. So blue, yellow. Any questions? Are people able to follow along? All right, I hope. Well, it's a bit greeny, so I'm going to put a bit more blue in. I'm going to try and mix up a nice bit. Alright, I've got something like that. It's like a, should I put a little bit more yellow in there? Like that color. That's what we're looking for. Lots of people coming and going. Hello, everybody. Alright, so, still a bit wet. I'm gonna just, like I said, sometimes it's nice to like do this. Helps it dry a bit faster with the air. Has anyone tuned into any of the other Quarantainment things so far? I tuned in last week for the mocktail making. That was cool. I actually have some of the Split Tree tonic in my fridge, so it's excited to kind of like see some of the mocktails you can make with that. And looks like there's, I think, one about tea next week. So be sure to keep tuning into them. They seem pretty fun. Alright, so mine's a bit damp, but that should be okay. It's not too bad. Acrylic paint dries pretty quickly. Looking forward to the T1. Yeah, me too. It's nice to see all the different talents that, you know, our alumni have, people in our community have, and it's nice to see people like happily sharing it with each other. I'm going to kind of bring this. So I'm just going to start the bridge. So as you can see behind me, it's like thinner at the top, and kind of a straight line, and then you want it to come probably all the way down to here at the bottom. I'm just going straight across, and then I'm just going to kind of link those up. I hope I'm keeping this in the frame the whole time. Yeah. I'm getting it all over my fingers. When I was in art school, I had a reputation of always having paint on my face, so if I get paint on my face, you'll know why. I don't like that. Mine's a bit wonky. I'm gonna fix that. I have to look straight on. Okay. So I'm gonna go straight across like that. And then try to make the line a bit cleaner. Like that. It's not perfect, but that's okay. Life isn't perfect. There we go. How's that look? Oh, it's still a bit crooked. Bring it up a little bit more. Alright. That's better. Hello. So if anyone's joined, if you weren't here at the beginning, if you want to share where you're tuning in from, I mentioned I'm in Ottawa, so nice to see where people are tuning in from. I'm going to, now I'm going to do the kind of railing for the bridge. So it kind of starts closer and then it gets further and further away from the bridge, and then the lines that come down start closer together and they get further and further apart as we go along. So that's how I'm going to do it. So easiest way to do that. I'm going to start with the kind of horizontal line. It's going to start near the top of the bridge here and just come right out. And I'm using the skinny brush. I'm just going to kind of go like that and come further and further away. And then if you need to clean up the line or anything. Oh, I got paint all over myself. So I just cleaned up a little bit like that. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Hopefully they'll look similar. A bit harder upside down. I'm going to do it this way. So I'm going to start close to where the top is and come down and then go down like that. And then, as I mentioned, we want to put the vertical posts, and we're going to start with them closer together, like this, and then get a little further and further apart as they go along. Like that. Like that. And they can get a bit thicker as they come out too. Do the same thing on the other side. Hope you guys can see. A bit closer together. Further and further apart. Like that. Okay. And before we move on to the leaves, I'm also going to take, as you can see, we have these kind of like lines on the bridge to give it some texture, like the whitish bluish lines. So we're going to do a little bit of that. And if they don't look perfect, that's okay, because we'll cover some of them up with leaves as well. That's the beauty of the layers, right? You cover up what you don't like. So I take a lighter blue. I already have some mixed up, but you could just put some white in your blue if you want to do that. And once again, the ones that are closer are going to be bigger, and the ones that are like the ones here, and then the ones that are further away are going to be smaller. So kind of do some of that. They're not perfect, they're just kind of doing a few, just kind of lightly. I'm trying to go straight across. Making a mess. There we go. So I'll go straight across like this. So like I said, the bigger, and then it kind of gets smaller and smaller as you get further away. And kind of put some in the middle. And if you have too much paint, you can like wipe off your brush a little bit and kind of blend it out on the edges. Kind of streak it across like that. We're just bringing a bit of texture into the bridge here. There we go. Are people excited that it's Friday? I know I am. So I'm going to bring it across like that, maybe a bit in the middle. That, so, and then I'm going to wipe off the extra paint on my brush. Must be harder to paint and do live. Yeah, it's trying to kind of make sure I show you guys, and I'm a little bit upside down, a little bit sideways, so if my lines are crooked, you know why. TGIF, yes, I agree. That's so exciting when Friday comes in the summer. I just love to be outside. Friday. Yeah. There, kind of streaking it out a little bit like that. And even if you're not painting with me right now, I hope this inspires you to paint later. Thanks for anyone who popped in to say hi and just kind of check it out. So that's kind of, the upside down painting was impressive. So yeah, we do have a running joke when I do, because I do kind of like paint nights for Healthy Workplace. I do have a running joke that I've gotten pretty good at painting upside down because I've been doing that probably for 3 or 4 years now. Every few months, so it's definitely an acquired skill. So that's a bit wet, so we're going to leave that, but we're going to start on the leaves up top. So I'm going to mix up, a bit messy, some of that red and yellow. I might need a bit more yellow. My yellow's turning pretty blue. There we go. So I'm going to clean off my brush really well because we don't want to get the blue into the orange. It'll make it look a bit muddy, which can be a look you might want sometimes. Of course your water gets kind of dirty after a while, but just make sure you scrub the brush along the bottom of the cup pretty well. And then wipe it off with a paper towel. So, I'm trying to see where the best place on my palette is to try and mix up some. I'm going to do it right next to the red here. I'm going to try not to get blue in it. I should have been more careful. So the yellow pigments aren't very strong, just like mixing them with the blue. Same with the red. So the red takes over pretty quickly. So I'm going to put lots of yellow in here to try and get a bit of an orangey color. See, it's looking pretty red, but it's a bit orangey. And then so we're gonna start with the darker color first, and then we're gonna work our way to the lighter leaves, because the lighter leaves will probably be on top because they're reflecting more light than the ones in the background. So I'm gonna put a bit of white in that though, just to kind of give it a bit more of that orangey pinky kind of color. A little bit more yellow. See, I'm not exact. I kind of just do what I like, decide as I kind of go along. So I think that's a pretty good color. What do you guys think? I'm going to scrape off the extra on this brush. So I use the big brush just to mix it up, but I'm going to use the small brush for the leaves. So once again, the leaves that are closer, so the ones further out, are going to be bigger, and then the ones that are further into the forest are going to be a bit smaller. So grab some of my paint. I've decided it's a little light. I'm putting more red into it. And the nice thing about the leaves, they're all different colors, so you can kind of keep mixing up paint as you go along. So these I'm going to kind of put some big blobs. And kind of be free with, oh, that was too much. How big you want your leaves, and kind of put them wherever you want. It's the fun part of painting. Do that, and then as they come in, they get a bit smaller. So I'm just trying to put some all around, make it look kind of full, maybe overlap a few. I am getting a little bit of the blue underneath mixed in, but that's okay. It makes it look a little bit darker, so it does give some kind of depth to it as well. Like that. So I like to paint. Painting's like one of my favorite ways to make art, but as I mentioned, I do a lot of drawing. I do a lot of that on my iPad sometimes because it's just easy to kind of grab and go with my Apple Pen. I also like watercolor painting. I used to do a lot of oil painting. I used to print make when I was in college a lot, or university. But it's harder when you don't have access to a print studio, so I don't do it as much now. That's all part of, like, you know, finding what you have access to and finding different ways to express yourself, so that's fine. I'm going to put some more small ones in here, kind of dab them in. And then so we also have some kind of falling, so I'll just do a few. We'll probably do more later. I'll just do a few while I have the color paint on my brush. Yeah, all fun ways to be expressive. I had musical talent once upon a time. I played clarinet in high school, but not much anymore, that's for sure. I kind of really stuck with the visual arts, but I don't know if anyone plays any instruments or anything here. Anyone has questions about art making in general, aside from this painting, or what it's like to be an artist, or let me know. Happy to answer any questions you guys have. Just trying to put in some layers. I'm gonna make both sides a bit more even. I got a lot more here, so I'm gonna bring some down a bit. So I'm gonna do little dabs. Base, cool. Do you play in a band? That's definitely one of those things. It's tough for, like, if you play in a band or something like that, to kind of, you know, you can't get together right now and have your, like, creative outlet with your band members. I know for, like, performing artists and musicians, like, can feel tough when you when you don't have that connection to your usual audience too, when you're so used to doing it in person. Whereas with visual arts, you can make a lot on your own, so. How's that looking? We got the first layer kind of done. I'll do a few little falling leaves, smaller in here, and then bigger coming out. And then we'll put some more when we do the bridge after, because we'll have to do some on the bridge too. Actually, yeah, we'll wait. So, how are things coming along? Is everyone following all right? I'm asking you guys lots of tough questions. They're hard to answer when you're painting. Know what is my goal? Okay, cool. Well, I hope you find a good set of people to play with. So what I'm doing now, I'm mixing some of the paint in. I got a thumbs up, so I think that's a good thing. I'm mixing a bit of a lighter color. So we're going to kind of do a few layers. So we'll do this a bit lighter, and then we'll go one more lighter, so that'll be like closer to white. So I'm going to mix up. So I'm using the tiny brush. It's not very efficient for mixing, but then some white, some red. Bringing in some yellow. So we want something that's lighter than our last color. Oh, I'm getting blue in it. Lighter than our last color. Which I think this is pretty good. Maybe a little bit more white. So with our small brush, we're going to take that. We're going to do something very similar, just over top of what we just did. So I'm just going to bring this over so you guys can see it again. So I think I did more leaves on my new one. That's okay. So we're going to do another layer a bit lighter, and then we're going to do one even lighter. And then we're even going to bring in a little bit of blue, if we have the time. And we're going to bring some down onto the bridge, too. Hello. I see people coming and going. If anyone's just joined, feel free to share where you're from today, where you are. So, kind of bring in some of those. Over here. There we go. Yeah, painting's definitely one of those things. The more you do it, Like, you know, the better you get at it, you kind of learn how the paint works and how to make it do what you want it to do a bit more. It never fully does what you want it to do. Just kind of can be frustrating sometimes, but sometimes you end up with things you never even expected to. That's like better than you ever expected, so. Just kind of bringing in some of the lighter color. Yeah, so you get to like understand the paint and understand the tools you're using. And every type of paint is different, like acrylic versus watercolor versus oil paint. You have to like learn each one of them. So if you have interest in making art and painting, I do suggest keeping at it, picking up some supplies. And smaller and smaller ones. So as I mentioned, getting smaller as we go closer, kind of more like dots to the, then bigger as you get further away. However you want it to look. Does anyone here watch Bob Ross? You know, it's your world. As he always says, it's your world. You can make it however you want it to look. So I'm just putting in some falling ones, little ones in the distance, and bigger ones here. Do the same thing over here, bigger ones over here, smaller ones in the distance. Okay, so while I've got this color, my bridge is pretty dry. I'm going to start putting some leaves of this color onto the bridge. So as you can see here, I've kind of concentrated the leaves on the outside of the bridge with some little like pockets of leaves sitting in different locations. So I'm just going to start dabbing in some leaves, and then, you know, we'll get in a bit of the darker color later, and we'll go in with the light later too. I'm going to take that same color because I still have it on my brush. And once again, like the bigger ones are going to be kind of, or the closer it is, the bigger they're going to look. So I'm going to do a little bit of that. Bigger, and then like go kind of like little dots as you're getting further away. And then getting bigger and bigger. Put some dots in. If you're not happy with how it looks, you can always add more later too. So that's the nice thing. And acrylic dries quick, so that's one of the nice things about it. You can kind of go over it if you want to fix anything. It's pretty forgiving in that way. When you oil paint, it can take days for the paint to dry, so if you don't like something you want to paint over it, you have to wait. So that's one of the nice things about acrylic. It's a bit easier to work with that way. So, but then you got to make sure you get the blending in when you want it, right away. So that's the downside. Okay, so I have it in there. It's just kind of like a base that we're going to work with. Bring that a bit up there. Go on the other side. And yeah, I just want to say thanks everyone for joining today, whether you're painting along or you just kind of want to check out what it's like to make a painting like this, or just kind of wanted to come in and chat. I think it's a fun reason to get together, so on a Friday afternoon. Okay, how's that looking? Kind of getting filled in a bit there. Put a couple little leaves here. How's that look? Pretty good? So I'm going to clean off my brush, and then we're going to put in more white into that color. And I don't care as much as I'm layering the leaves if the ones underneath are dry, because they're in the same color family, so it's not like if you're going over the blue with like an orange, it's going to look very muddy. But if you're going over orange with a lighter orange, it's just going to bring in some of that color underneath. It's not going to make it look muddy, it's just going to make it look a bit darker and put some streaks in, but that's actually like kind of beneficial because it gives it some depth. It makes it look a bit more interesting. So that's a little tip. If you're kind of within the same color family, sometimes you don't mind the colors mixing. If you are working like opposite types of colors, like cool and warm and stuff like that, it can look muddy and maybe not be the look that you want. So I'm bringing in more white. I want it to be pretty light. So it's like almost white with some pinky tones in it. And that'll be our lightest color. Yeah, I hope everyone's having a good Friday. Alright, so kind of same concept. I'll probably bring in more light in the middle just because there's like, it gets lighter anyways with the background. And as I mentioned, like as you get further away, it's often lighter. So I'll probably put in more of these little leaves in the white, and I'll kind of dab them because they kind of look cool that way. They're smaller. And kind of make them a bit more sparse as we're coming out. Hope you can all see decently well. Multi-talented upside down painting. Like I said, I want a bit more lighter in here. I'm trying to make it look a bit more like it's kind of lighter and then going to a bit darker, kind of missing one there. And then maybe bring it in just a little bit here. While we're chatting, does anyone have pets? I have a cat, and she's luckily leaving me alone right now, so I'm kind of happy about that. I was a little worried. She can kind of get into my stuff when I'm trying to paint. Just going to bring a bit of water in because paint's starting to get a bit dry now. It's been out for almost an hour. So we'll do the same thing here. Again, kind of dabbing it in a bit more up on the inside because it is lighter there, because it's further away, and then kind of like that. There we go. I'm going to do some falling leaves. I like some tiny ones in the distance here, and make them bigger as I'm coming in. Like a couple little ones right in the middle. And bring in some of these dabs. What do you think? Pretty good? So I'm going to bring some of this light color down onto the bridge as well. Getting my dab in there. So yeah, in art school. Oh, you've got a chocolate lab. Oh, they're so cute. I really want a dog. I'm definitely a cat person, but I really want a dog too. And labs are so cute. Let's say in art school they teach you stuff like that things further away are lighter. Like concepts like that kind of give you depth to your work. Now I'm sharing that with you, so like atmospheric tips and tricks. kind of bringing some of that in, and then it's like I'm gonna put some stray ones to kind of, so it doesn't feel so blocky, so it feels a bit more natural. Do the other side quickly. Yeah, we're getting short on time, so I'm not keep you guys too long. I'm gonna bring in some of those, kind of like that. A few up here. Like dab in a little bit. How's that looking? And the one last thing I'm gonna do to give it a little bit more, to bring the colors of the blue and the oranges together, because you know, a lot of times when you first start painting, you'll do something in one color and then something in another, but to kind of bring that together and make it a bit more seamless, I'm going to bring a little bit of blue into the leaves. So I'm going to take some of that pink I made. I'll try to do this quickly to show you guys what I mean. I bring some of that pink I made, and I still got some blue here. I'm going to mix a little bit of it together so it makes kind of like a mixture in between. And you don't want this to happen too much because it will make your painting look muddy, but if you do it a little bit intentionally, it'll look kind of nice. So, I'm going to take a bit of the darker blue. And if you're happy with how it looks now, you don't need to do this, but... So, it's kind of like a bit of a mix between the two. Now it's like a gray. So, I'm just going to put a few spots where I'm just going to make leaves with that color. You kind of see what I mean? So it kind of ties everything together a little bit. And when I paint, a lot of the times I'll try to tie some of the colors in with each other. Sometimes I'll blend using like colors you'll find elsewhere in the painting. And it kind of just brings everything together, makes it look a bit more natural. Because when you think about it, they're all under the same lighting. So you're probably going to see some similarities. Like, even though the leaves are orange, if it's an evening, there might be some that look kind of blue because of the way the light hits them. Bringing some of that in over here. And I think that's pretty much it. I might put in, I'm just going to grab some pure white and just like a couple little spots. There we go. Alright guys, what do you think? Like I said, it doesn't look exactly the same. Of course I did it upside down too, but this is what I was shooting for. And then this is our final product. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I hope whether you did it now or you want to do it later, you want to take some of those tips and tricks, or you want to try your own thing. I hope you post it online so we can see it, because I absolutely love when I get to see like the masterpieces people create. So I think that's pretty much it for me today. If anyone has any last questions, we have a few seconds left. I just want to say thanks everybody for tuning in. Oh, you're welcome. Oh good, I hope you guys have fun. And I hope you guys liked hanging out and maybe making some art and maybe just learning about how to make art. Thanks. Thanks everybody. Alright, take care. Have an awesome Friday. And have an awesome weekend. And keep tuning into the other quarantainment things.